We have now launched the online Shockwave course. When I set the company up, which is over 12 years ago now, which is hard to believe, I was always about educating the clinicians as well, not just in terms of the technology. So when Dom Smith came to me with this idea of doing the Shockwave course, I was all for it. And Dom and Katie have done a fantastic job of putting it together. It's really impressive, really comprehensive. It is technology agnostic, so whatever system you're using will be able to help you with this. So it's a brilliant piece of work. The guys have done really well. So check it out and go to the link below and let us know what you think. So this week I visited David Roach in Kilkenny. So it was great to go over and see his facility there. So when I was doing the life stories with David, I found it really interesting he talks about that he sat down and was really contemplating what he wanted to do with the clinic, where he was trying to take it. And one of the main things as well that we spoke about was about treating the person and not the injury. And that's something which I'm really interested in. It's come up a lot because, again, everyone, whether we're dealing with athletes, David works with NBA athletes. He was over in France working with some of the guys at the Olympics, but then he's also got his general day-to-day patients as well. And ultimately, everyone's human. So I think that message is really, really key. So I hope you enjoy the conversation and let us know what you think in the comments. Dave, great to see you. Thank you for inviting us over. It's great to see your facility. So this is the first time I've actually met, which is very exciting to see. But I've seen a lot of your stuff online. And you've got some amazing things. Like I'd heard about you originally from a sports rehab friend. So you've got to speak to David Roach. So Ryan Gordon, who's used to work with us, good guy.
Yeah, great guy.
So talk to you about your clinic. Like, how did you get started?
God, I moved home from Manchester, having done various stints in things like Sale Sharks, place like that, with a good decent amount of experience, but also wanting to understand and wanting to work in a clinic. I don't think at that point, with all due respect, existed in Ireland at that time, which was a high performance clinic, a clinic that's known for results, for solutions, and the ability to help patients in any way, shape or form we could. So, I kind of moved home with that idea, as modest as it sounds. And I've been lucky enough to build my clinics. There's two of them now. From a modest 10 patients a week to what we are today, which is 8 staff strong here in south of Ireland, and have patients coming to us from all over the world, thank God.
No, I think that's really interesting. And before we go into because you've had some really big clients here. How and why is it? Everyone does sports rehab. People do a physio course. How do you differentiate what you're doing, and what is your belief that wasn't being done that you think should be being done?
I think it's I heard the thing before, it's always stuck with me. I think in Manchester, don't treat the injury, treat the patient. And it's very much understanding where they're coming from, what kind of outliers that they have, what's that kind of injury and stress bringing to their life. And if you can work on both those, the patient's going to be A, happy, and B, feel like they're working towards a goal. It's even as small as simple things like if you walk into a room with a patient and they suffer from Achilles tendonitis, for example, an overload injury, shall we say, and if I don't get to know them, I'll never ascertain the fact that they love to go walking with their friends, or that every evening after they finish their house, their chores, their work, they go for a 10K walk. If I don't know this or hear this, I can't deload them. And I've been in a situation before, and I've probably made every mistake in the book. I've been in a situation before where I've had patients like that, and when I dive a bit deeper, I get to figure out why the overloads happen alongside with everything else. And that's the truest and surefire way to get them to where they want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, and then how have you done it? It's really impressive that you've had, I saw recently you were featured on Fox News. So you've been over in France. So I know it's quite a big thing, but how did these opportunities come about?
Yeah, these things are. I think they come along. They don't. I think I said to you before. They don't come along from just me, fixing a broken leg in 2 days, and they don't happen from me making somebody walk out of a wheelchair. It's my stubbornness to do the small things over and over and over again. And what happens then is that they become identified. But I suppose it's a situation, Andy, where you get results with people, you hit the right notes, you're there for people, it resonates with other people too as well. And when you work with high performance athletes, and mark my words, everyone from amateur athlete high performance athletes think they're high performance athletes, and they treat them as such. And then what happens then, I think, is you get known for the guy who can get results, and people just kind of gravitate that way towards you. But ultimately, you know, we do have to make sure that we're getting results. They're not coming just to chat to me or anything like that at all. They are coming for a result. I was on the radio before with a guy, one of the first big sprinters. He was an NES sprinter at the time. He came and saw me, and he was asked, the woman who was interviewing us simply asked, she goes, Dave, I'm going to ask a really hard question next. This guy is from Michigan. I'm going to ask him why he's come the whole way over here. And I was like, yeah, ask him why, no problem at all. And he said something that I never really forgot, and it's driven me more and more ever since. He said when the girl asked him the question, evidently, he said, listen, I was told to go see a guy in New York and he might fix me. I was told to go see a girl in Illinois and she might fix me. But every time I heard Dave's name, I was told he will fix me. And, you know, I would liken that to someone like me, Andy, who's an amateur athlete. If I had a cup final on Sunday morning coming and I rolled my ankle tonight, and someone, even though I'm not getting paid for it, and someone said to me, Dave, go to a guy up in like Donegal or somewhere in Northern Ireland and I guarantee he'll play on Sunday. Do you know where I'm going? I'm going to Donegal. And it's peace of mind, isn't it? And I know that, you know, that person there will help me, and that's what I'm trying to create an environment where people know that they'll get a solution when they come and see us.
And I think it's really refreshing to hear someone speak confidently about it, because I think certainly, I would say in the UK and Ireland, we're quite reserved in terms of saying with conviction that we can do something. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to be sort of hesitant and shy away from doing that. So it's really good, I think, that you're able to talk openly about doing that. Like, what gives you conviction in terms of your beliefs of what you're doing?
Yeah, I suppose it's all these grey hairs now. It's been doing it for a long time now. I think it's been doing it for a long time now. And yeah, listen, I think the biggest thing, unfortunately, it's rife, whether you are a chartered physio or sports medicine or you're an athletic therapist, is that imposter syndrome. And you kind of have to believe in what you're doing. Not blindly, but you have to believe in what you're doing, and also back up that with, you know, a tolerance and a workload that will make sure you do hit those markers. So I think I speak quite confidently because I've seen it all, done it all in a lot of ways, but I'm also true to my mission. As soon as I was the day I got my exam results, as I am today, I'm still as passionate about doing this job and helping people, because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be on that bed. I know what it's like to lose out on and miss out on finals and life experiences through injury. So I relate that to myself every single day I come into clinic.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about sales before, and it's like fundamentally, you know, we're a sales company. Everyone really is in a sales role. You've got to get whoever it is that you're speaking with to trust and believe in what you're doing. Well, fundamentally, you've got to believe in it first.
Yeah.
And how do you do that with your team? You've got that. You can see it. You've got conviction. You've got that authentic belief. So you've expanded now. You've got a team of 8 people here. How do you get that?
Yeah, I suppose it is very much around working with people who you want to work with as well. I think, you know, I need to find people who both match me but also compliment me. And I think I heard that a long time ago when I started hiring first. You look for you, but there is no other you. You're already taken. So you want to find people who have better skills than you. I want to find people who are better at admin than me, who are better at note-taking than me, which is probably a lot of people, who are better, you know, at the smaller stuff that I'm not, to help my clinic run, and identify areas in my clinic that I could add value myself if I had time, or that someone is better adding value. And that's how I design my plan now. We have quite an intricate hierarchy here, where people who come in earn their right to work, and they work hard, you know, they make sure they add value. But also the hierarchy are people who've been with me for a while now, and they've added a lot of value, who I trust, who I really believe have the same vision as me, have the clinic's back, and make sure that they are having the highest standards possible, even when I'm away on these camps and stuff, which I'm very lucky to go on as well. I think for me to start as a management role, I'm not entirely sure where I heard it before, but I have a very simple analogy that I use. I look after my staff look after my patients look after the business, and the business looks after me. And that's very simple. And that it's a symbiotic circle that goes around and around.
Yeah. Yeah, and you were showing me something on your mentoring plans, which is again another avenue of business. About the fear.
Yeah. Fear for me is very interesting. And when I say people shy away from fear is to protect you, but sometimes you don't need protection. You know, if I look at fear, I walk in the morning and I firmly believe that every single person at the start of every day has a choice to make. Am I going to be my best self today, which costs energy, and am I tired? That's okay, but you have to push through it. Or could I just take it easy today? And that's fear, if you ask me, because if you take it easy today, you rock in, you're not prepared for your patients, you don't do a good job, then you start to believe that you're not doing a good job. You start to believe that as an inherent part of your value and who you are. That leads to stress, and then you're stressed for your next patient or your next quota of patients or your next week of work, and all of a sudden you're going to work stressed. You think that's the boss's problem. You think your patient will get the results, and sooner or later, before you know it, through no fault of your own, you're not exactly the best clinician that you should be. And that will lead into a very, very horrible road that's hard to come back from at times. And that's also known as imposter syndrome as well, isn't it? So it's very, very difficult. But, I firmly believe that if we come in and we have the right tools and the right systems in place, and we facilitate that kind of energetic kind of mindset, where we're ready for our patients, we're motivating our patients, and we're getting everything up to a really high standard, well, that leads to getting results. And look, trust me, there's no better idea. There's no better feeling than somebody coming in and going, well, do you know what, Dave? I'm feeling way better. And all of a sudden that's contagious. And that has spread through our clinics, and I love it. That's the way it is,
Yeah, no, I think that cultural piece is massive. How do you interview for getting the right team? Is it, because again, as you could say, it's chicken and egg. Do you have the right environment that brings out the right characteristics? But fundamentally, I presume you need certain characteristics for the team that you've got coming in.
Yeah, so I mean, the way I have it now, it's quite hard to get in now, if I'm honest with you, in the sense that we identify and we kind of do a lot of our ads to people. We do general ads, obviously, if we're going to hire, but we will be very, very specific who we want to come in and work with us, a certain skill set. Look, I've come from absolutely nowhere, in the sense that I'm big on giving people chances as well. I just am. I've always been like that as well. I'm a big believer in that. But to get in with us, we interview, my front of staff will interview first. If they go well, then I'll get involved. We'll do an in-person interview. The first one's usually on the phone. Then there's an in-person interview. There's a secondary interview with me with a small practical element. And then after that, if you feel like you're a good fit, then we'll bring you in on a 6-month probation. And then we're a big believer here in contracts. We don't like the whole self-contractor role. It doesn't instill, loyalty. It doesn't instill confidence in the therapist then as well. And they're the two big factors that we spoke about already, aren't they? If that's in place, then we're not going to get the high-performance therapists that we want to work with us. And usually what happens is, if we're going to give all of our staff this really high-end motivating mentorship, we don't really want to give that and then leave with no contractual obligations whatsoever. So we try to, I firmly believe, Andy, I firmly believe that high performers aren't found, they actually are created. We have to find the right ingredients. It's usually small things like positivity, outgoing, and hard work.
Yeah, they're really clear things. And you've made a massive investment. You've got the new facility, which sounds absolutely incredible. But you've also invested in a load of tech, like coming in here, win back, ultrasounds. You've got the force plates.
Yeah.
And this is where we came into it. So in terms of investing in the clinic, it's your money. So how did you get the faith to be able to do that?
I suppose, look, it's not, I'm no businessman in a lot of ways, but I do feel like I'm big on reflection, I'm big on data, keeping data, and big on looking at how our clinic provides, results, and how I suppose the biggest thing to be honest with you, how we provide our local community first and foremost. Because yes, we speak with these high level athletes and stuff, but they're a small part of our caseload. We do treat general public all the time as well. But something like this is, for me, it's the way forward. We have to understand what's going down the road. I just found that, as much as I would trust and back myself, I just found that metrics are a huge thing in this culture these days. And I found that if I really want to show off and show how good I am and get to the point quickly, I need a metric. And I looked around the high and low, I'm a big researcher, and I'll try things myself first. And I just kept coming back to Axel. I kept coming back to the functionality of it and how I would implement it with not just athletes, but general public, the outline for the global data system that they have that shows everybody where they kind of rank. For me, it was just an unbelievable way to create value for all my caseload, not just a certain small part as well. And that's kind of what we're all about here, isn't it? Proving the proof in the pudding, I'm a big believer, again, in not to be with quotes and stuff, but I'm a big believer in showing people where they're weak and not telling them that they're weak. I think that gets more buy-in as well. Don't just say, hey, your glutes aren't firing, or hey, the hamstring's not going too well there. Let's prove that, shall we? And let's give you a solution to why they will get better on the line.
How is it Dean been able to actually demonstrate those numbers and actually give them the feedback?
Game changer. It really has been. I think it's attracted a lot of high level athletes to us as well, if I'm honest with you. I think having data there from NFL Super Bowl players to professional footballers in the English Premier Division to local celebrities and local kind of hairdressers and sports people is brilliant. Everything from that, it's a really, really good way, and it's been brilliant for us, I think, just to kind of add that exercise element, because We don't want our patients on the bed all the time. We don't want them on the plinth. We want them in the gym, moving. We want to empower our patients to get right and get fixed. And trust me, they know that if we test them and we give them a plan and we test them again, proof's in the pudding, isn't it? They have to stay up to the standard and they have to stay up to scratch. If they don't, well, then it's their own fault. They're not getting better, right?
So yeah, I think that compliance piece is really interesting.
Huge,
we were talking about rehab before and getting people to do it because you can only do so much here. Have you got any data or just from your own interpretation of the improvements that you've seen from the general population?
Yeah, loads. Actually, as far as general population is concerned, yes, we will. And I think general population can almost, I'm speaking to therapists here now, with the general population, you can almost get a skewed version of what's going on because the person who comes from a quite low functionality and high pain, they're going to have a huge jump straight away. And they almost get lost in that, thinking it's easy. They think, oh, that's great. But I mean, giving them a good understanding of what the norm metric should be. And that's why I quite like the normative data that's on there. There are certain parts of exercise that it has a light bulb and then click into it and there's normative data what it should be at. That's brilliant because if someone's increased by 1,000% and they're still twice as weak as what normative data says, well then we have a good indicator to go, look, it started here, but you're not finished just yet. And that's why I do love the global one I'm talking about the whole time to you, I think, is the one where it puts up against everybody in the world, their age, their sex, and their kind of functional levels, or their weight, I should say, sorry, which is really good. But what I found a lot in is, and what we all deal with, I think, in general practice, especially here as well, 15% of your patients are going to be high performance athletes, 15% of them aren't going to be athletic at all. There's a gap in the middle there of average athletes. And they're the ones who actually fund our clinics, let's be honest. They come to you, but they're never going to be world champions, unfortunately. It is what it is, but they love their sport. And I love to help them, shall we say. I've seen athletes improve their RSI by 0.1, 1.5. I've seen national swimming champions improve their external rotation by 1,000% in here. And then go along and break records 2 or 3 days later. These are unbelievable metrics. I've had a girl in here, a 16-year-old girl. She is the next big thing. She is going to be on the level of, in my view, without bigging her up, Rashida. Her mum and dad are former Olympians. Her dad's an Olympian. Her mother's an international sprinter. At one point, she improved her lower leg rate of force development by 900 and something %, whatever it was. I can't remember what it was now. And she broke a 28-year-old record over 300 meters in Ireland 5 days later. Did it give her the belief to go along and do it? I'm not entirely sure, right? However, they're there to be seen. And this is what I love about the kids. So they're loyal patients of ours now. They're always going to come back here, and they're on our, what we call a performance program here with the Exit Kit.
Yeah, brilliant. No, I think it's really interesting because, again, from our side, really as a business, we want to help people like you help your clients. So you talk about that kind of symbiotic link. And it's really great for me to hear that this stuff works because, again, Exit Kit, brilliant. How does it help you deliver that for you, and then your team, and then the client, and then it all links in together. Yeah. What would you say? Like, what things do you think you want to implement? You got the new clinic there. Like, what do you see the vision being? You've done a brilliant job of getting it to where it is now. But what do you see as being the next thing?
It's a great question, and like all of our staff are trained on at the moment, but there is another level to it as well. I think what we're looking to do with it next is not just, so we have custom. What I loved about it was there's custom programs you can create. So I have a custom for 0 to 5 weeks post surgery, knee, ankle, hip, shoulder, whatever it might be. We have like performance GEA, which is local sports here, soccer, rugby, the performance programs that we use for them, and they have tests and retests. But what I'm really trying to get into, I think, in the new place is injury prevention, injury identification. So let's give you an example. Someone comes in and they have persistent calf strains. We have, at some point, the treatment's going to make them feel better, but the rehab keeps them feeling better, like we spoke earlier on. But the thing we should look at there is, yes, granted, a soleus strength and calf gastroc strength are really important. But what about RSI? What about ground contact time? If we have an athlete who's come in and pre-injury rates of calf tear are the same as post-injury rates, but they keep breaking back down, what's that telling me about how they can produce force? And identifying within the data itself where they're lacking. And then instead of putting in, say, a strength-based protocol, why not put in a reactive strength protocol? But that would make sure the patient and the athlete gets up to scratch where it should be there. And in my experience so far, in the times I've done with it, that's helped our athletes overcome injuries that they haven't been able to overcome in other areas, and other clinicians, other physical clinics around the country. And it's a really good way just to deep dive. Not that hard, but it's an easy way to deep dive on the data. You know.
No, that's great. It's great. And then, so in terms of the new clinic, then just give us an overview of what that's going to look like.
The new clinic, yeah, it's going to be fun. It's all set to go now. Planning permission approved. You know, all the funding is there for everything else. Hopefully, in there in about maybe 14 months from today. But in there, it's going to be a bigger clinical space. We'll probably bring in other health professionals in there as well. It'll have the Southeast and Ireland's, I think, first post-surgery rehab centre, where we have a kit like this in there as well, maybe get an Ultra G or something like that potentially down the line. We're going to have a hyperbaric chamber and cryo suite in the middle just for accelerated heating responses for athletes and to keep their bodies firing all cylinders. And then we'll have a high performance gym that will be very much rehab based, shall we say, indoors, with a small little AstroTurf little kind of section there. And then outdoors, we're going to have a sprint track with a sandbox, and we're going to have a quarter running track, because I would love to see the athletes coming off the bend and how they deal with load as they come off a bend and then accelerate. And then we're going to have maybe what we call the ACE area, which will be an AstroTurf section. It'll have everything in there from maybe a basketball hoop, a golf kind of extra to drive golf balls into that little kind of net, shall we say, and just more of an open area for multi-directional turn sports. And that's what, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun. I'm sure there'll be a lot of stress between now and then, but what's life without a bit of stress?
No, exactly. Well, you see how well Ireland did in the Olympics recently. It's great to see.
It's true, yeah.
But it's brilliant to see someone investing in themselves, really pushing it. So well done with everything so far.
Thank you, sir.
And looking forward to seeing the new centre.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.